What do you remember that day? I'll just ask you real quick as you will.
I remember seeing footage of this guy jumping out of the building, out of one of the buildings, and that, like, that broke me. I'm like, wow, it was just crazy. It was insane.
Back in 9/11, I was 10 years old. I don't remember much, but I remember freaking out, or everyone else freaking out, and me watching the plane hit. And when I saw the plane hit, that's when it struck me like that something was going on.
A scene of two people holding hands and jumping out of the window.
Jeez.
That was my first initial reaction, is this really happening?
I remember everyone freaking out. Everyone was yelling. You could hear you screaming like a mile away.
The smoke pouring out the tail end of that cotton-picking plane, sticking out that of the Twin Towers, and the smoke pouring out. I mean, that's still a vivid. I mean, I can see that in my mind's eye. I mean, as we speak.
And I thought, what would that be like? If I was with someone I cared about, knew that I was going to burn to death if I didn't jump to my death.
It was a time where you wanted to bring your family close to you. You wanted to know where people were, and I know for me it was a hard day because I did have a lot of family traveling at the moment, and I didn't know where they were. You know, and your immediate reaction, I think, is to just bring everybody in close to you, and it wasn't possible to do that on that day.
And when the planes crashed, it was just a horrifying feeling just to actually see the footage on it, and it was, my heart just dropped, and I just broke down in tears just to see all these people screaming and yelling and, you know, jumping out of the building. It was just horrible.
And I still have the same emotions come up right now. I still have the heartfelt and the anger still. I still have anger for that, I guess. But it's you know, it's curbed anger.
I was working at McDonald's at that time, and I just remember we had the radio on, and but I really wasn't paying attention. I just remember seeing people in the drive-thru as I was handing out the food were just crying, and I just kind of wondered what was going on. Then I hired the radio, and I just remember hearing what was everything that was going on at that time, a whole bunch of yelling.
I think, you know, where the second plane was actually going into the building. And then you think of all of the repercussions, you know, of that. And then the horror of this is actually happening here in the U.S. You know, it's just
As I then stood there watching the whole thing pan out, as I'm sure many people did, and seeing the second plane and so on, and wondering how many thousands of people were in those towers, watching them collapse, which was probably one of the most traumatic things I think I've ever seen.
I felt, you know, I was upset, you know, I mean, but I was heartbroken, you know, for the people there, because they you know, anytime innocent people get caught up in this trap, it's a sad part.